Hello, I'm your host Jim Matei, and welcome back to another episode of BANTERFLIX, where each week we talk about some of the movies and shows you might want to check out, and even those you might want to avoid. Let's see what we'll be talking about on this show. We'll be reviewing Toy Story 5 as Woody, Buzz, Jessie and Nicole return to the big screen to battle new tech. Our pick of the streams is the dark comedy Over Your Dead Body on Amazon Prime. And we'll wrap up as we talk about Michael Bay's Armageddon, which is heading back to cinemas as part of Cineworld's Thrill Seeker season. So that's what we've lined up for you this week. Joining me in a rather warm, in a rather sweaty studio. This is the first time it's official, the importance of desk. I am doing this episode in shorts because it is that warm. I feel like I'm full Ron Burgundy. But anyway, joining me on this week's show is the lovely Dr. Nicole Hamilton.
Yeah.
And Jess Blair.
Yeah.
Hello to you both. As always, packed show. We are busting to talk about, I think, particularly our first film. So let's move on and get stuck into our first film, Toy Story 5.
Bonnie, screen time's over now.
Okay.
I want to talk to you, device.
Please, call me Lily.
Me and the toys have been working all summer to try and get Bonnie to make friends.
Yeah.
But then you had to ruin
Got it.
You're not even listening to me.
I'm always listening. See?
Now look here, me and the toys have been working all summer.
Now in Spanish.
Con las gemelas Jordan, al otro lado del
What?
Yeah, I got dibs on behind the dresser.
Follow on from Toy Story 4 2019, which gave us Forky. And I'll not lie, there's bits of that I kind of struggled to remember, but we're back. Fifth installment in the franchise. Jess, I feel like I should come to you first because I know that you are a big fan of this. And you could well be as well, Nicole, but I know, Jess, you are a big fan of the Toy Story series. So where does this fifth installment in what was a perfect trilogy, now a quintology, where does this stand for you?
For me, I think you nailed it on the head when you said perfect trilogy. The first three were spectacular. The fourth, it was great. We got Forky. It was a great fun ride. The fifth, I'm going to put in the same bracket. Watchable, great time. It's a Toy Story film. You're going to have a great time. All your favourite lovable characters. A little bit of a repeat, in my opinion, of some of what we've seen before, just under this kind of new guise of evil tech. It's perfectly serviceable. I enjoyed it. I would happily see it again, but it's just not up there with the original three.
Now, you were particularly proud of yourself because this is the first Toy Story film, I believe. This is a particular milestone for you. You want to tell our viewers particularly what this milestone for you is?
I did not cry in the screen. Now, that could be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on how you want to see that review. Normally, I am a very kind of heartfelt person when it comes to films. I will cry at anything and everything. But Toy Story 5, I did have a couple of wee moments where, you felt the emotions rise, but didn't quite hit just as home as what previous sort of showings would have, such as Toy Story 3, where I was catatonic. That just, wow.
I don't think any of us have ever got over the fear of those toys going into a furnace, but I have my thoughts on Toy Story 5, but I don't want to weigh in just yet. I'm a little bit on the same wavelength as you, maybe slightly more negative than you. But Nicole, where are you coming in? What's your thoughts on Toy Story 5? Are you like Jess, or were you more positive?
So I haven't seen Toy Story 3 or 4. So the furnace comment, I'm terrified now because I am planning on going back and rewatching the first two and then watching 3 and 4. So
you better have someone there for emotional support. Jess and I are here on phone call on speed
I think
dial.
I might need somebody because I did actually tear up quite a bit at this one. It just hit me. I do tend to cry at kids' films quite a bit. It just, when bad things happen to children, as somebody who's not good with kids, I am very, very emotional when it comes to them. So
you're emotional on their behalf.
Yeah, whenever kids are sad, I'm just like, no. So this one got me a bit. There were a couple of moments where Bonnie, I think her name was upset, and I was just like, no, I need you to be okay. So I actually quite enjoyed this. I think I gave it 4 stars. I don't think it's actually a 4-star film by any stretch of the imagination, but I wasn't really sure how I was going to feel going into it because I haven't seen a Toy Story film in a long time. I haven't even rewatched the original 2 since I was a kid. So I didn't really know exactly how I was going to feel about it, if it was going to be the sort of kids movie that an adult can very easily watch and enjoy. And I thought that it was. There was a couple of jokes that I thought were really, really stupid and hilarious. There was Stuffalo Bill, I think, which killed me. And I don't think any of the children in the audience thankfully understood. So that was quite a treat for me. But just in general, I really actually quite enjoyed it. And I'm really grumpy about tech. So me and Jessie were kind of like that for pretty much the whole movie. I understood where she was coming from 100%.
Yeah, there is things I like about it. The sense of this, the old toy against new tech. We've seen that before. That's from pretty much the central zeitgeist of the first film, when you have Woody, being slightly intimidated by Buzz. And just on a depressing note, the original film's out, 31 years ago? That does make me feel very, very old. I do remember going to see that in the cinema first time round. For this installment, I think on my own Letterboxd account, just to give a shameless plug again, and we can throw our Letterboxd handles up by all means, but it's the first of all the Toy Story films. As much as I love Pixar, I know it's the first without John Lasseter, and there's various reasons for that. It's the first that just felt like, I don't want to say cash grab, but I think this exists because this series makes money, so therefore we need a fifth. We will probably need a sixth because it's been the most successful for a debut for any installment in the series so far. And it's fine, it's just that there's so much going on within the narrative. We have a little army of Buzz toys that are running around the place, getting up to all kind of levels of shenanigans. We have this stuff with Bonnie, and like you, I did find myself there's this particular sequence where I guess it comes to as close as you're going to see in a Disney film like this, talking about online bullying. And there's sequences within that. And I love little Bonnie. And I don't want to see her being sad. And that was the bit that even got me in this. But even though I felt, again, for the first time in a Toy Story movie, where this is kind of Marley and me. This is emotional pornography. This is literally, you're just manipulating me in my cinema seat to cry. I cried like you, Jess. I cried at the drop of a hat. So of course I had a bit of a tear. It was a very dusty screening in Lisburn. But my barometer for these films, and any kind of kids' films usually, is when I'm in a screening, particularly when it's not a private screening, but when it's a paid for, Joe Blogs, anybody can go. A lot of young viewers in there, and there was a lot of pitter-patter of feet that were disinterested, that were getting up and down. They were more interested in getting, I do weep for the future, to quote Ferris Bueller. They were more excited about the thought of getting their Toy Story themed popcorn buckets and whatever merchandise they could get from the shop, as opposed to watching the film. I guess the shadow that's over this is, here in the UK, we're talking about a ban for social media for under 16. So I guess Toy Story 5 is going to be remembered as a film that was out when that debate was happening.
Mm-hmm. And they had that opportunity, I think, to kind of really highlight that, how tech, social media, things like that are, impacting children. Like, they try and show it in the film with these zombified kids glued to their tablets, which, if I'm honest, I see on a daily basis with kids. And I can't talk glued to my Nintendo Switch, but I'm an adult, I'm allowed to make those decisions for myself. But again, it just felt superficial. I appreciate it's a kids' film, you can't exactly go into a Louis Theroux type depth of what is the impact on kids, but it just felt superficial. There could have been so much more they could have done in that, in my opinion, to make it a more soul and heartfelt film. They just missed it.
Well, who knows, maybe in Toy Story 6, which probably feels inevitable. At this stage, we could have Buzz, Woody and Jessie and Co taking on the Manosphere. I don't know. Who knows where we'll go. But before we move on, Nicole, coming back to yourself, and I know that Jess and I have kind of talked a lot there about various bits and bobs, but I know someone who hasn't seen 3, hasn't seen 4. Do you feel that this is a bit of a... Did this have a whiff of a cash grab for you, for a sense of Toy Story's back in the big screen, that will get money for the House of Mouse?
I am always a little bit suspicious of Disney at this point. I kind of think a lot of things that they do these days are cash grabs and don't have a lot of soul in them, which is unfortunate. But every time I get my hopes up that they will actually do something that I find to be really heartfelt, it sort of falls flat in its face. So I did go into this assuming that it was just going to be a straight up cash grab, and I didn't feel that it was. I do agree with you actually that it is quite superficial. I think the idea makes it not a cash grab, because it feels like, as you say, there is the bones of something that could have been really interesting and really well thought out if they had actually put the effort in. But maybe the cash grabbiness of it took over a little bit, and they just decided we need to get this made, and started with a good concept, but didn't finish with.
Yeah, I think mixed feelings all round. As I say, I'm pitching the idea of Toy Story 6 for Buzz & Co, as I say, against the Manosphere, or we could see possibly something like taking on AI. I don't know. There are cleverer people than me working at Pixar who have probably already planned out 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. As long as that series continues to make money, as it seemingly is, you will still see Buzz, Woody and Co on the big screen. But look, let's move on. That's something that's out on the cinema right now. Let's move on to something you can watch from the comfort of your own.
Hey, how is it?
It's fine.
I just wanted to cook you your favorite food.
Steak's not my favorite food.
Okay. And what is your favorite food?
Ceviche.
Ceviche? You know what? I'm trying to make it nice for you.
Reasons! Just pretend!
Don't do this. Please don't do this.
Wakey, wakey.
What's going on?
Not much. Having a cup of tea and curious about these. I think you were gonna knock me unconscious, tie me to the bag of rocks you hit the boat, sink me to the bottom of the lake. I think you just tried to kill me.
Because all you do is criticize me in your stupid accent. It's like British crossed with the devil.
Well, your plan sucks.
So that's a look at the trailer for Over Your Dead Body. It's out now on Amazon Prime. We have Samara Weaving, we have Jason Segel, who you get to see is doing something a little bit different. But this relationship is not in a good place. And let's just say a trip to a remote cabin is not ideal, because both seem to have, let's just say, less than positive plans for each other to possibly get out of this relationship. Whatever happened to breaking up over text? But anyway, so Nicole, I'm going to start with you. Nice to see Jason Segel doing something a little bit different. Samara Weaving, we've kind of see do this kind of stuff before. I think she could act through this in her sleep. But what's your thoughts?
I thought this was okay. I didn't go in with super high hopes, to be honest.
Well, this goes back to our history with you on the show with Amazon Prime.
I know, it's
we
not
tend to
good.
not get good movies for you anytime it's Amazon Prime, and that's why I thought specifically maybe this could be better. We're going to have Nicole on. Maybe this might be the one that breaks that run of pretty bad movies.
Do you know what? It's not the worst one that you've made me watch. I think War of the Worlds is still takes the cake. This one, it's not bad. I just don't think it's that good either. The first half hour or so, I did actually kind of enjoy, whatever it is, just those two sort of bouncing off of each other. You can feel the frustration from them through the screen, and I wanted to kill Jason Segel, so I
hopefully not for previous films, because the guy he brought us back the Muppets.
Yeah.
He was in How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
And yeah, I do love him in Shrinking. So
it's just this role I just find him insufferable in, which is the point,
Yeah.
I think, for most of it. It's really whenever, without going into too much detail, it's whenever the other characters come in that I feel like it takes a wee bit of a nosedive. There's one of those characters that I found quite entertaining, and the other two I could kind of take or leave, and I find that it took a lot of the more interesting relationship-y stuff that I was enjoying away from the movie, because suddenly we're not focusing on these two characters and how they feel about each other and the frustrations that they're trying to get out at each other, and it becomes a bit of a farce with the other three, and it just didn't end up working for me. And the ending I didn't love either, obviously without going into too much detail. It just felt a little bit flat for me. I didn't really believe it. I didn't see how these characters got from the beginning point to the end. And maybe believability is not exactly what this movie was going for, but it just didn't do it for me in the end, unfortunately.
but it's still a rise above some of the previous Amazon Prime movies we've asked you to watch.
100%.
Okay, so we're getting there slowly but
climbing up a bit.
surely. I would tend to be on a similar wavelength than you. Maybe be more negative about the film. It didn't work for me. I just felt it. You can mention that it descended into a farce, but with a bit of violence. And I've just seen this type of film done better. And I guess, I know it's very different in many ways, but the likes of Ready or Not, it's hard not to compare those two because they have this same kind of approach. That's like, it's not really nasty violence. It's almost like almost kind of cartoon-esque. You know, there's kind of nods to kind of Peter Jackson stuff with lawnmowers in there. And there's a sense of what they do that kind of with this constant kind of time jumping around the place of hours later, hours. And it to the end, it actually got on my nerves. It's fine to watch it on Amazon Prime. And as I say, I come back to that point as someone who does love Jason Segel because he did bring back the Muppets to the big screen. And I will forever sing in the shower man or a Muppet to myself. And I don't care who's going to listen to me. It was nice to see him doing something a little bit different. But I just wish the final product, the whole thing, it's less than the sum of its parts. There's good bits there. I guess you've set the bar, Nicole. We're not going to go into too much spoilers about some of the other characters that appear. We'll talk off camera to see if we agree who we like and who we don't like. There was one particular actor I was just glad to see back in something. Haven't seen them in anything for a while of late. And yeah, it's fine, but I think I'm maybe 2-star. If we're going back to the old 5-star ratings, it's a 2-star for me. Perfectly serviceable. Friday evening, sit and watch it. The time will go past, but you could be watching better. Jess, where you went in on Over Your Dead Body?
If we're going to start with our 5-star rating, I'm probably with you. 2 stars. Now, I actually went into this not completely blind. It's a remake of an indie film. I believe it was called The Trip. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. And I remember watching it a few years ago and enjoying the concept. And it was sort of a bit nittier and a bit grittier, a bit darker than what we've seen here in this particular rendition. So I kind of went in already knowing what to expect and was sadly disappointed. I would agree with yourself. I found the start very promising, very entertaining. The dynamics between the two of them, I disliked both of them so much that I wanted them to kill one another, and I just found that so entertaining. Just seeing them riff off each other with such speed. It had great promise, but without giving too much away, the second half fell flat. It had moments of promise. The gore is quite hilarious in my opinion. There's actually one particular scene that involves where I believe, and you'll have to watch it I think to fully grasp this comment, they had such a great moment for a Harry Potter pun and they didn't take it. And that hurt my soul greatly. I also did find there's one scene in particular in the second half destroyed the film for me altogether, and it felt gratuitous and unnecessary. Again, without giving details, it felt very off the mark and took even away from that kind of comedic gore and kind of childish run around a house.
Would you be possibly, without going into spoilers, Deliverance-esque moments?
Yeah, very much so. It felt entirely out of place. And when you're already feeling this is already going a little bit too long than I would like it to, it's starting to lose the run of itself, that scene for me just, okay, we're done. I just have no interest no more now. This needs to finish. And I just found it completely killed off whatever promise the second half really could have brought. Which is a shame because, again, it started off well, and I think even without that scene, this could have been a slightly more serviceable film overall. But just bearing that in mind in that second half, it let it down, unfortunately.
Yeah, I would agree with you, and I think it was, I might be getting this wrong, I think it was a Norwegian. Norwegian was the original, and I do wonder when you get this sense of this attitude by many, big American studios is like, oh well, the remake with a big Hollywood star is going to be much better. Don't get put off by the inch-high barrier. I haven't seen the original, you have, so I would imagine that it's maybe less comedic in that sense, and it's much darker, that Nordic noir that I know that a lot of people are big fans of. So there is, say, Over Your Dead Body. It's available on Amazon Prime. I think we the best we can muster up for review, it's better than War of the Worlds. So I think that will be there. And that is a recommendation in itself. But that, of course, is our film that's available to watch online at home. Our next title, as we wrap up this week's show, is Armageddon. 1998 takes me back to when I was just a 15-year-old boy in peak Michael Bay territory. Now, we should say it's heading back to the cinema as part of Cineworld's Thrill Seeker season. It's going to be out the 22nd of June. I've got the date in front of me here. You could also, if you wish, you could watch this at home. It's available on various VOD platforms. I think it's also available on Disney+. That's enough of my rambliness over. Let's have a look at the trailer and then we'll talk about the film.
Hitting the rock from the outside will do the job.
So, we nuke this thing from the inside? How?
We drill. We're bringing the world's best deep core driller.
The United States government has just asked us to save the world.
We're talking about space, right? Outer space? This is like deep blue hero stuff.
I'm there.
I'm with you.
Beam me up, Scotty.
I want all of you listening to know that everything that can be done to wage this terrible battle is being called into service. May we all see these events through with the courage worthy of this challenge.
All right, flight directors, I want the go, no, go for launch. Booster, go flight. GNC, go flight.
Hey, Harry, you know we're sitting on 4 million pounds of fuel, 1 nuclear weapon, and a thing that has 200,000 moving parts built by the lowest bidder. Makes you feel good, doesn't it?
We're going.
Okay, gentlemen.
You're warriors up there.
You're already heroes. Just sit back and enjoy the ride.
The dreams of an entire planet are focused on the 14 brave souls traveling into the heavens.
Astronauts, welcome to space.
It's about time. I haven't thrown up in about an hour.
I'd start praying about it right now.
So that's a look at the trailer for Armageddon. I am not going to start singing that Aerosmith song. I am not going to get my animal crackers out. I assure you, I will leave that to Ben Affleck and Liv Tyler. Nicole, you just said while we were watching the trailer there, you don't have a lot to say about Armageddon, so I am worried that maybe you might not be a fan of this Michael Bay great big sci-fi summer blockbuster epic in which Bruce Willis saves the world.
It's not, I did like it. I'd never seen it before, actually. It's one of my big blind spots, of which there are many. It's just that whenever the second half of your 2.5-hour movie is 95.5% explosions, there's only so many conversations I can have about explosions.
Nicole, what did you expect when it was a Michael Bay film?
Nothing more. I actually expected more explosions, to be honest. I thought the first half was really, really fun. I think that we're at a really sad point in cinema history where Michael Bay movies actually look really, really good comparatively to what modern action movies look like. So I actually thought that like the cinematography, the color grading, like all of that was actually really fun to watch.
This was before he got involved in Transformers.
Yeah. So I was pleasantly surprised by this and had a really, really good time with the first half. My one really big thing that I'm very sad about is that Steve Buscemi is a bit of a creep in it, because I love Steve Buscemi and I just want to imagine him as his character in Spy Kids 2, because that's just how I grew up seeing him, and I just
that wasn't the reference I thought you were going to go with.
If you take away nothing from knowing me, Jim, it is that I love Spy Kids 2. Spy Kids 2 and Sharon Stone, my favorite things in the world.
There we go. Maybe that's a future special, Spy Kids and Sharon Stone. We will do that at some point. I probably come into this with the, unavoidable, rose-tinted glasses of nostalgia. I look at and as someone who does not like Michael Bay as a filmmaker, from the kind of gratuitous kind of leeriness that we get with the Transformers movies and then more other films of late, usually with Mark Wahlberg. But here, it's not overly leery in that sense. It's kind of sitting there with the likes of The Rock. This was kind of, as I say, 15-year-old Jim, peak territory. And I do agree rewatching it. I had forgot this film was 2.5 hours long. And Michael Bay, he does not know how to end films sometimes. And I think of like Bad Boys 2, where it's like, oh, it's all ending. Oh no, we're going to go to Cuba now for another half hour. That said, it's just Bruce Willis doing Bruce Willis's thing. And hey, I don't want to miss a thing. That's all I can say. I'll get that in there, reference in there. Jess, what about you? I know we're going to wrap up, but are you a fan of Armageddon? I guess I should ask. Like, this was a first viewing for Nicole. I'm going to assume you've seen Armageddon before. I'm also going to guess you're probably going to have issues with science in Armageddon.
Am I that predictable? As a kid, I can remember watching this on video in my room. I was only about 7 years old when this came out. I remember watching it as a kid, and again, explosions, phenomenal, soundtrack, incredible.
So you're pitching this, like if you get a chance to see this on the big screen, if ever there was an opportunity, here as we say, get to see it on the big screen, crash, bang, wallop, Michael Bay, rinse, repeat, there you go.
Exactly, for its time, incredible. It's just a fun action.
The key thing you said there, Jess, was for its time.
For its time. And then that start with a kind of, bromance amongst them as they're going through their astronaut training. It's just a good film for just enjoying and
Michael
watching.
Clark Duncan.
It is
the
just...
sight of that man dancing is enough, it's a piece of thing.
Exactly.
It's cinematic history.
But as an adult watching it, dear God, the science, they just looked at it and went, no. And that is essentially the most accurate part is, yes, an asteroid could hit the Earth. That is about as scientifically accurate as that film gets. So as an adult, it irks me a little bit more to watch. But the nostalgia hits deep. It's definitely up there. And I would say if you haven't seen it, worth a watch. It's cinematic history, in my opinion. And it's probably come from that nostalgia and just woohoo explosions. But I love it. It's a good film.
I'm on the same wavelength as you, Nicole. As a first-time viewing, because I'm sorry, I should have asked that at the very start, but now you've watched it at home, would you be tempted? I know it's 2.5 hours, but would you be tempted to go invest your hard-earned money for a cinema ticket to see it on the big screen?
I think it would be better seen in the cinema than at home, to be honest. I think Michael Bay wanted you to see those explosions on as big a screen as possible. So I would say definitely. I think.
Well, there we go. I think that's a perfect
option.
way to end up this show, as we say, Michael Bay is cinema. So there we go. On that note, so all that's left for me to do now is thank my guests in the studio. So thank you very much, Nicole.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jess.
Thank you.
Thanks very much for watching. We'll be back next week with another episode. But for now, until then, goodbye.